औरत ही औरत की दुश्मन होती है and we're just so competitive is the reason men take over the world. Let's say अगर लड़की को काम करना पड़ गया तो जी हो अब तो मेरा मियाँ बिल्कुल कुछ नहीं करता, मैं I'm the breadwinner of the house और मैं सारे काम करती हूँ and now that's not feminism. Feminism I think is you need to be okay with the concept. You might never have to do it, but you have to be okay with the concept. If need be, you are willing to support your family, you're willing to support your husband. You have to be a strong woman at the end of the day. That is what feminism is. You're told not to cry and not to scream. Scream if you want to. If there's a buildup in you, I would be in the middle of a highway, roll down the window and scream on the top of my lungs if I have that aggression in me. We have to, we are allowed to, and we should take out our aggression.
Salam, hello, and welcome to Scribble Sessions with Momina, where we turn the pages of life and explore the untold stories of our incredible guests. So bear jai and grab a cup of chai as we welcome our guest today. Today we have a very talented makeup artist and a beauty brand owner. Along with her successful makeup career, she is also very successful in her career in IT. We have today someone who's a Pakistani American, a daughter, a wife, and a beautiful person. Please welcome Nayha. Nayha, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I moved here 5 years ago, and I moved here because I got married, and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I stayed there for 4 years, and I realized that's not my cup of tea. I've been the city person. I needed party, I needed everything, and I ideally wanted to go to New York, but I was like, okay, we'll just go to DC and get the life.
The next best thing.
The next best, in the middle. So I just moved here a year ago, and I love it so far.
That's amazing. I want to kind of go back and start from your childhood. I know you were born and raised in Pakistan, so can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Yes, I was born in Lahore, and then I was maybe a couple months old. We moved to Islamabad, so I call myself Islamabadi, even though I was born in Lahore. But growing up, I was my mom has like 2 daughters, so just me and my sister. I am the elder daughter, and being an elder daughter in Pakistan, it's like, oh, you have, well, your parents are the strictest with you. You get all the restrictions. They are pretty much testing their parenting skills on you. But my dad,
definitely.
Yes, but my dad has been always like, oh, she's my son. She's like, that's my son. We used to do office together. We did his business together. He would always treat me like a son, and that just polished me into a person who is more, how do I say it? I don't want to say it in like outspoken, but like not what you have an expectation out of a girl in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So that's how my dad raised. Apart from that, I was, if you want to talk about makeup, because that's what I talk about, and that's what I work. Makeup, I've always been, well, my dad, because he was like, oh, you need principles and you have to be very strict, and there are some things, asool hain zindagi ke aise nahi karna, don't wear nail polish. I remember school mujhe bilkul ijazat nahi hoti thi nail polish laga ke jaane ki. I couldn't have my hair open.
I don't think you're allowed to have long nails too in a lot of schools.
I'm talking jab tak main college mein nahi gayi thi. I wasn't even allowed to do that back then. So growing up, when I was 16, it was my birthday, and my dad was like, now you're allowed to put on makeup that looks natural. So on my 16th birthday, he took me to the Islamabad mein hota tha D Watson. They would have like every collection, Maybelline, L'Oreal. That was like every girl's fantasy. And I remember he was like, this is your birthday gift. You can buy whatever. And I got crazy. I got my first foundation, first concealer, lipsticks, lip glosses, eyeliners, eyeshadows. And uske baad jo meri halat thi, like, you know how you get so many new things and then you put it all on yourself and you're like, now you look hideous. And I kind of scared my dad. He's like, is this what you're going to look now? But that was the first time I was actually allowed to do makeup, when I was 16. And uske baad se to I never stopped.
You
I was
never
like,
stopped.
I'm going to experiment more. I'm going to do it on people. I remember when I started doing makeup, I was just so passionate about it and started watching YouTube videos. Sara din, sari raat, I was just YouTube videos.
And when was this?
This is when I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, back in तब बहुत ज़्यादा YouTube का होता था. I'm trying to think when I was 16. I think it was 2016. No. Yeah, around that time. 2014 में शायद मैं 16 की थी. तो YouTube तब there were like the OG makeup artists
YouTubers.
and YouTubers.
Who did you used to watch?
Nikki tutorials back in the day. There was Jeffree Star, Tati Beauty, Gasoline Lights, all of that era.
Are you familiar with the drama?
Yes.
I remember, I think I was in high school and I binge watched the whole drama, like my life depended on it.
Yes.
And I was like, whose side do I need to pick?
And there were so many dramas all the time. There's still so much drama. I think it's just happening on a very...
But people stopped caring because there's so many makeup artists now. There's so much that, like, a lot of people have also started focusing on their own careers, and YouTube also is one of the platforms that people have pursued because they looked up to people. But back then, there wasn't a lot of, like...
Yeah, also, you know what I think changed is TikToks. Now we do not, even for myself, talking to myself, I don't have the temperament to sit and watch a video that is 15-20 minutes long.
Yeah, you can't.
I need a TikTok that is like a minute long.
I feel like I have a problem now because now my attention span is so short that if someone is talking even on TikTok, there's an option to, I think the playback speed option. And I would watch people on 2x. And my sister's like, you're a psycho. And I'm like, I completely understand. I just don't have the patience to like watch the whole 3-minute video. Because their attention span, I feel like that's why TikTok, and it's also easier to make content on TikTok now.
It is short. Yes. And it's to the point. You will still learn the same amount of things that you would, of course, in detail, and then they're talking, and that's a whole different way of communicating and creating your audience, but then, and that's a whole different target of audience. Some people like to sit and watch, and some people are just like impatient on the
YouTube is for people who want to just relax and have it like play like a white noise in the background. And but TikTok has helped like our generation because we don't have the patience to watch a 30-minute video on how to make pasta.
No.
We can just do it in 30 seconds.
Yes, and it turns out the same.
It turns out the same.
Pretty much, yes.
Definitely. I kind of want to ask about how was life like in Islamabad, and what memories do you have of your friends and college life or even school?
So, being from Pakistan, Islamabad, I always get, oh, tum log to boring log ho, tum log to burger bacche ho. But I don't want to say that's true. We're just not as full of life as Lahoris are, and Lahoris ki jo energy that is unmatched. We were talking before. It's like Lahore is the New York of Pakistan, and then this is Virginia.
And Islamabad is like Virginia, definitely.
But we were always associated as the burger bacche and boring bacche. But other than that,
would you get offended?
Not really. Because, like I said,
it's kind of like a compliment if you think about it. Because I'm from Lahore and like people call us Pendus.
No, but then being associated, I would just turn the tables and be like, "Peda to main Lahore mein hui thi na, to main Lahore."
Because you're Punjabi. Are you a Punjabi?
Yeah, I am. Okay. Yeah, so I was like, "Peda to main Lahore mein hui, I'm a Lahori," so you can. And then we would go back, but it's just Lahore is on a different level of energy. But
what school did you go to?
I went to Fabels.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in Beacon House till grade 8, and then I did my O-levels and A-levels from Fabels. That too, also, I was a daddy's girl, always. And jab tak I was in Beacon House, my mom used to pick me up and drop me. And, you know, we were a family, as in like, parent-teacher meeting hai, so my dad is going and my mom's with him and everybody. But then when I switched my schools and I went to Fabels, it was a 35-40 minute drive, so my mom couldn't do it, and then my dad used to do it for me. Our parent-teacher meeting pe mere dad jate the, and my dad was like, he made sure that nobody messed with me in the school. And like I said, wo khud se mujhe ek ladkiyon wali cheez nahi thi, so I was never like, I was hanging out with the guys, I was like, not
you weren't scared?
No, like ladkiyon wali koi cheez nahi thi. Like my teacher would tell, tamiz se baitho.
So you were never shy?
No.
That's good.
No, not with, well, I am at first, but then once I'm going to school every day, I'm not. I'm like, I'm the coolest person, I like to say.
That's good, because I feel like confidence, especially if you have it since childhood, then that goes a long way, and it helps you in any field of life.
That's true. Also, तो वहाँ स्कूल में सबको यही होता था कि जी नेहा की mom dad separated हैं because all she's spoiled. उसके dad आते हैं, वो छुट्टियाँ करती है, तो
There's something going on.
A separation maybe, and she's the spoiled
and they don't
child.
care. Yeah, so she's just spoiled. That's crazy. But so are you still in touch with your friends?
Yes, I am. It's a little different now. Ek to time zone. Dusra, some of my friends are not married, and then I am married. So I think when you're married,
at a different point in life.
You're at a different pace. They're still just hanging out with friends, and their meal is getting cooked for them, and they don't even have to back home. Even now that I go, I don't have to worry about कि जी खाने में क्या खाना है. I don't care कि मेरे कपड़े कहाँ हैं. Like मामा हैं, घर पे सारे हैं.
They'll take care of everything.
Yeah, but it is definitely hard. But then again, friends, I think इस phase में ही पता चलता है who sticks around is who your friend is, and who doesn't is they automatically, without any feelings and without you feeling कि यार कोई burden है दोस्ती रखने का, it swifts away.
Has it been easy to make friends here who you've been able to relate with?
Again, coming from Charlotte, North Carolina, there is not a lot of Pakistani community, and even if there is, it's a lot where they're not on the same page. They're married, they have kids, and they're on a different level. They're not, I don't want to say they're not progressive, but they don't want to, they're fine staying home but I was always like, I need to go out, I need to have a career, I need to do what I work. I didn't find the same energy, but over here, yes, I've been here for a year now, and I've made so many friends.
That's awesome. Who was your role model growing up? Was it your dad?
Yes, 100% my dad. Yep, everything I am today and all the lessons that I learned hard way, he made me learn the hard way, is because of him. So
how did they take it when you told them you are into makeup and that's what you want to pursue?
It was interesting. Because at first he was like, like I said, he used to be like, कि तुम बेटा हो, and I was helping him with his finances. Sara accounting office की मैं देखती थी.
Management.
Everything I used to manage. There was a time I didn't even go to school. I think मेरी attendance, when I was in 10th grade, मेरी attendance out of 130 some days, मेरी attendance was only 27.
Oh wow.
And because I was going to office with dad, and my mom thought I was bunking school, or I was with my dad. The first time I was like, well, I'm doing makeup, and he was like, किन चक्रों में पड़ गई हो तुम? किन चक्रों में? He wanted me to do CSS. He would have loved me to become a lawyer or CSS. Pakistan में बहुत होता है, like you. That is what he actually wanted. But then when I told him, and then a couple of years later, when he got to know that I'm getting married, I'm gonna move to US, he was like, well, you need to have a skill, because skill is what sells here. So he's like, you know what, I want you. Before that, I was just doing makeup. I would go to, for fun, I would do it on weddings, I would have my friends ask for it, or however, and then it was never professionally. And then he was like, all of a sudden, he wanted me to go to Karachi to get it for 2 weeks on my own to get a certification. He then got me into I don't know if you know, it's a very nice makeup academy in UK. He's like, you should do it, and he got me there. He's like, you just need to learn.
So he was very supportive.
He was, and then he said, because now that I know that you're going to move to the States, I want you to have a skill so that even if things are worse or for the bad to come, you have something you can fall back onto.
Definitely.
And then for IT too, I didn't have an official job, but my dad and I were always like the tech people of the family. So we would get calls during the day, and we were like, oh, ye masla ho gaya hai, hamara ye nahi chal raha hai. How do we get this to download? So yeah, I think simultaneously my dad made sure that I एक balance strike rakhu.
Yeah, and you also have a backup of IT, and that's a very successful career.
Yes.
How was your mom like? Was she supportive? Was she nervous?
She was actually, well, she is actually a little bit more. जो पाकिस्तान की मॉम्स नहीं होती हैं कि बेटा लोग क्या कहेंगे, बेटा सोसाइटी है, बेटा तुम. The amount of times my mom has told my dad कि वो बेटी है, आप क्या कर रहे हैं, आप क्यों उसके कल को शादी करके जाना है. And my dad was like, no, rules and principles and ये. And then वो होता है, trouble होता है मेरी married life में, मेरी family में, मेरे friends में. Their problems are like, oh, but they expect you to be their girlfriend, gossip and stuff like that. And you're not like that. When you're brought up, well, how my dad brought up, that's not how you are. You're focused on career, you're ambitious, you're
very driven.
You are, and I would love, and I try to cook a meal at home, but that's not my priority. Like my priority is my career.
I really want to like also ask you questions about like, you know, I feel like by birth we have some gender roles assigned to us, and I definitely like later on today want to ask you, how do you think, like, do you think it's fair? How do you manage it? And you know, just kind of expand on your own experience. But before that, I do want to ask you a little bit more about the Pakistani culture that you remember since you've been here. Have you been able to stay in touch? Pakistani dramas देखती हैं कि नहीं?
I do watch Pakistani dramas, लेकिन जब भी मैं dramas देखती हूँ तो अब ड्रामाज हमारे एंटरटेनमेंट ही ऐसी है कि वो जेंडर असाइंड रोल्स पे डिपेंड करती है. इट्स अ 30 एपिसोड ड्रामा और 29th तक बेचारी औरत पिसती रहती है,
रोती रहती है, बहुत रोती है.
29th पे she takes stands for herself.
And that's what they're showing to the generation कि बस रोती रहो, and then they, no matter what, they are not supposed to speak up for themselves.
Right. और वो अगर कुछ ड्रामाज में वो 30th एपिसोड में she stands for herself and she's like नहीं मैं अपने साथ जाती नहीं होने दूंगी.
People can't stand that.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, they would cry for 29 episodes and no one would say anything, and they're like, just wait.
Yes.
And then on the 30th episode, the guy throughout the show would cheat on her, would go get married to someone else, abandon her, and then on the 30th one he would come back and they would live happily ever after.
The girl be like, no, bye.
Yeah, she's not leaving, and then people are like, well, yes, all she had to do was just wait and not give up. But that's like
that boils my blood, honestly. That does boil. But yes, that is unfortunately how we have been showing and what our society is. And if you're living it, I also think, let me put it this way, हमारे लिए कहना आसान है क्योंकि we are living here.
Yeah, that's very
and
true.
We have a lot of freedom here.
I think यहाँ पे भी, if you're a part of like Pakistani community and very involved and around people who do still believe that that is the reality of a woman, no matter where she lives, they will make sure that's a life you live.
Yes.
Because God forbid if she were to speak up for herself and say ye galat ho raha mere sath, they're like, no, you're supposed to stay in the corner and then just, you know, let the guy do his thing and just sit there and be like, okay.
Yeah, you just have to wait for your man to turn into
exactly.
the
And it's still very hard. And you're married, and you've also shared that you're outspoken. You speak up for yourself, but it also comes with a lot of like.
It does
challenges.
Yeah, it does, but also it's about. I believe कि communication बहुत ज़रूरी है और communication होनी चाहिए, and as long as communication in the margin of respect हो रही है, it turns out to be in your favor.
But what do you do if the other person's not respecting you and they're not ready to see your side?
I am the kind
of perspective.
Again, I am the kind of a person who would just tell them that your behavior would eventually leave us to you not being a part of my future. Like I am just that, because in my mind I'm really clear on what I want to entertain in life.
Was it ever hard for you to set that boundary?
Oh, it's to this day it has been very difficult. Boundaries से पाकिस्तानी बहुत boundaries word से बहुत trigger होते हैं लोग.
Yeah, it's very triggering.
And they're like, oh ये अपनी.
There's no boundaries when it comes to family, like बहन भाइयों के साथ, partner के साथ, in-laws के साथ. Like, what is a boundary?
Yes, I think ये एक misconception है कि जी boundaries
तो होती ही family में होती, because that's the most. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand, if someone is trying to set a boundary, they're trying to protect that relationship. Because if they didn't care enough, they would just be like,
and
okay.
And also, अगर boundaries नहीं होती हैं, you tend to, and there are no boundaries, you tend to do things that will hurt you more. वो respect कम हो जाती है. जब boundaries होती है, you just know कि जी ये rule है इस घर का और ये ऐसे होगा. And शुरू में बहुत मसला होता है. You're being hated on, people don't like you, they will gossip about you, and you have to be very headstrong and be ready for it. क्योंकि मैंने और भी मेरी एक दो friends की शादी हुई and they're really concerned about their reputation. Like अंदर से वो जो मर्जी gossip करें खुद, but they would put up a face in, and not necessarily in-laws, your extended family. हमारे पाकिस्तान में वो माशाल्लाह extended family भी तो part of the pack है. And they would have that, and they're like, oh no, but I can say whatever, but I have to act a certain way. And I'm like, no, you're going to say what you're going to act like. And
it's like they have to live like a double life.
And it's easier for you because the way you're acting your boundaries, if you're setting that, people who will stick with you will respect you for that.
And you'll know these relationships are healthy.
Like I don't care अगर कोई मेरे बारे में बात कर रहा है, because I really don't care. At the end of the day, I am content and I'm happy, and I'm जिस दिन लोगों को ये समझ लग जाएगी ना कि they're blessed to not have people like that in their lives, is when their lives will change.
I'm so happy that you're saying this, because I'm a people pleaser, and unless I make the other person happy, I don't care if I'm happy or not. I'm like, I just want to make sure, like, just like me. But now I've come along when I'm like, if I'm not happy at the end of the day, people are not gonna be happy no matter what you do. They'll find something.
Exactly.
So if you have to respect yourself enough to say that, you know, hey, this is who I am, and you know, as long as I'm respecting you and you respect me, that's the only way this relationship is going to work, because it can't be a one-way street. It goes hand in hand. So
and people, वही बात देखो, people would have misconceptions at first. जो आपको बदतमीज बोलेंगे, वो आपको बहुत बातें करेंगे.
Does it get to you?
It used to. It used to.
Because if that's not who you are, it's very hurtful if you hear those things.
Yes, but एक दफा when you need to look at what you feel on the other side. You're just so content with your life, and alhamdulillah, I say this for myself.
And a lot of people are projecting too.
Yes.
If they're lacking something, they feel the need to say, no, you are this and that.
When I tell you, I hear the most absurd things about me, and I just laugh it off. I wasn't like this before.
And you're like, really? Tell me more.
Yes, and I got married when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
So back home, कभी कोई किसी की इंटेंशन नहीं होती हर्ट करने की, लेकिन वो बिकॉज एंड ऑल्सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम उस सोसाइटी में पैदा हुए हैं कि हमें बताया जाता है कि बेटा ससुराल ससुराल है, सास सास है, सास माँ नहीं हो सकती, बहू बेटी नहीं हो सकती, एंड वी नेचुरली वी जस्ट नेवर इवन ट्राई टू क्रिएट दैट बॉन्ड. And you're just always defensive. Like I am blessed with.
You have your fight and flight mode on.
I'm blessed with an amazing family from the in-laws. Like my in-laws are more supportive than my own family, and I can say that to anyone. But also,
and it shows through your success too.
And it has to be, again, boundaries थी. मेरी बहुत सी बातें अच्छी नहीं लगी होंगी, शायद मुझे नहीं लगी, but that's just normal. That's how you develop this relationship, instead of being कि जी I am nice to you on your face, लेकिन मैं घर जाकर अपनी मामा को फोन करके आपके बारे में बातें करूंगी. Like, why do you want to do that? That's just not right for you to do it. And also my dad told me that. He's like, नेहा, अपने घर की बात अगर तुमने कभी मामा को या बहन को या मुझे फोन करके बताई, it's for you and your husband to deal.
Because they can forget.
Yes.
You know, if you were to tell your mom, oh, my husband said this, you're going to forget about it tomorrow. But your mom won't, because she loves you. So
it spills over.
Yeah.
वो चार लोगों में बैठ के कहीं बात निकल जाएगी, and then I feel like
and then it bites you in the back.
It does. And then also gossip. I tend to stay away from gossip. I've always had a really bad karma with gossip, and I think that is what my dad wished upon me, because मैंने जब कभी किसी के बारे में बात की है ना, I had to confront that person on the things I said to them. तो मैं तो बिल्कुल, मुझे डर लगता है honestly to even talk about someone. और मेरे डैड का ये रूल होता था कि जो घर पे है बंदा, उससे बात करनी है, उसके बारे में बात करनी है, और अगर आप उसके मुंह पे वो बात नहीं कर सकते, then you are wrong. आपने वो बात नहीं करनी है. So that is how I was brought up. So even with my in-laws, उनको शुरू में शायद I'm pretty sure that not that they've ever showed me or ever I felt that way, लेकिन उनको feel हुई होंगी मेरी कोई बातें, because I come off as a very, I said it, I'm
You're not
blunt.
scared of confrontation.
Yes, I'm blunt, लेकिन it's for our relationship, और उसमें मेरी genuine concern होता है कि यार this is too precious for me to make it into something that is nasty and something that I would turn into, like, you know, कि मैं ये हूँ और वो हूँ और मुँह पे ऐसे. But yeah, now everyone's alhamdulillah they are more happy than anyone else when I succeed. There, of course, कुछ boundaries हर घर में होती हैं. Like, you know, I used to live with my father-in-law, and then we lived together for almost 2 years, and of course you learn so many things when you're living with them, and it's okay to, वो पाकिस्तान में कहते हैं जी बस बहू चुप करके बात करे और सर झुका के घूमते रहे, लेकिन when I think कि जब ऐसा होता है and you have to live with your in-laws, and coming from experience, I'm telling you, you have to set not boundaries, again, never disrespectful.
Never cross that line.
Never cross that line. Never ever. And I'm the type of person, like, if my father-in-law were to call me right now, I will start shivering. Like एक इतनी respect है मेरे लिए उनकी कि I cannot even talk to him without Aneeb, my husband, being with me कि यार अच्छा चलो, you know, you're good, it's okay, I'm here. वो out of respect. It's not because I'm scared and I don't want. It's just out of respect. So him living with me, I had to be so cautious, and it was draining. It was very draining. It was exhausting. कि मैं ये नहीं बोल सकती, मैं ये नहीं कर.
On top of that, you're working and you're being a wife and you're doing all these things on your own.
And then also expectations उनकी कभी भी नहीं थी कि मैं खाना बनाऊंगी. मैंने खाना नहीं बनाया कभी भी उनके होते हुए भी. But मेरे पे pressure होता था. And also I think communication. My husband, unfortunately, is not good at communicating. He's a people pleaser. So I'm like, I had to book concept boundaries guy and telling him ki.
So I want to ask you, you did share that you got married at 18. That's a very young age, and you just shared that your husband is not good at communicating. He likes to please everyone. I am pretty sure there has to be, because it works both ways. And at 18, no matter how smart you are, you're bound to make mistakes. And the only way for not just a marriage, for any healthy relationship to work is to have patience. And you being a woman, you just know you're gonna have patience no matter what. But if the other people, if they have patience in you, that's the only way it works.
It will work. Yes.
Yeah. So
100%.
I want you to share a little bit on how there have been times where your in-laws or your husband or any of your family member was patient with you when you were struggling, because I'm pretty sure you learn from your mistakes too. But people have to give you that grace,
right,
and give you patience that she's so young, but with time she will learn.
Yes. So I don't want to say that I was very reactive, but even like I mentioned कि मेरी शादी जल्दी हुई थी, I was very possessive of my husband. You're not going to talk to her, you're not going to go with them, you're going to be on call with me, you're going to talk to me all the time. And
that's
this
like
is
every girl.
Yeah, and this is like brutal honesty that I'm talking about myself. And back then I felt like कि मुझे ही अनीब को protect करना है, और मुझे ही I have to make sure he's not in the wrong company, he's not hanging out, like मुझे मेरा time चाहिए. And I was very possessive, but I was 18 back then, and I got a lot of not a good feedback. Like people didn't like me for that. They were like, oh, Neha to bahut chipku si hai, or you know, all of that. But then they realized कि यार,
but if something means a lot to you, you want to make sure, you know,
that too. And then also they have never told me, and of course बहुत बुरी लगती हैं वो लड़कियां जो अपने husband के लिए इतना over. Now that I've grown out of it, I realize I'm like, मुझे किसी ने रोका क्यों नहीं? And I think that is where the support came in, where nobody told me कि नेहा, you are wrong, like तुम पागल हो, you're driving him crazy, you're driving yourself crazy. They gave me my time and space to understand and to grow into that, where it was okay for me to be like, okay, it's fine, no worries. But nobody ever talked bad about it. I'm sure at least मेरे मुंह पे तो नहीं बोला. So you know, that is them.
I feel like it's human nature to think a certain way, but if they were at that point to tell you, let's say like you said कि मुझे पहले क्यों नहीं बताया, I don't think you would listen, because you're 18 and your mind is like, why are they stopping me? Your 18-year-old self is thinking, yeah, I'm just trying to look out for my husband. I know what's best for him, but you don't even know what's best for your marriage. So that's where, like, you know, it's great that they gave you that grace and patience that वो खुद ही सीखेगी. जब तक वो खुद नहीं सीखेगी, she's not going to learn. And that's a lot of the times people don't see that, you know, you have to, especially someone who's that young, you have to give them patience and grace.
In fact, I think उस stage में जितना आपको किसी चीज़ से रोका जाता है,
उतना the way your brain works, you're like, okay, I want to see what they're stopping me from, मैं वो करके देखती हूँ.
Yeah, even my mom, मामा कहती थी कि हर वक्त तुम 24 घंटे चिपकी रहती हो, तुम्हारी वैल्यू कम हो रही है, तुम ये. And I was like, नहीं, अब तो मेरा और बढ़ मेरी वैल्यू कैसे कम हो सकती है? You know, it's just it takes हमारी पाकिस्तानी लड़कियों को communication और open mind होना पड़ता है. It takes a lot for you to sit and tell that you were wrong here, and this is how you saw the support from the people you saw the support from. हमारे लिए बोलना बहुत आसान होता है. पाकिस्तान में ना, unfortunately, words की value नहीं है. people would just say things and not thinking.
It's just a generic thing. It's like बस सब्र करो, सब ठीक हो जाएगा, वक्त के साथ साथ हो जाएगा. No, but just speak some logic.
And when I tell you, I've had very awful times in my marriage where we were literally to a point what happens next. He lost his mom 12 days after the marriage. I stood by it. It takes a lot of patience. जैसे मैं बता रही थी कि my marriage has been through some really awful times to a point where हमें नहीं पता था if we were going to make it, and of course we're a distant family, like we're family friends, so our families are very close, my husband and my family. So we weren't sure. You go to your elders naturally and they decide your future for you कि नहीं जी बेटा patch up होगा या नहीं जी बात बहुत खराब है तो अब तो break up होगा. तो we realized कि eventually बात अपने तक रखनी चाहिए, family में नहीं जानी चाहिए, even though
तो नहीं गई फिर family तक?
एक दो दफा गई है, but that is when you realize.
Did it work out for you, or was it like, oh, I wish I never told them?
No, I to this day wish that would have never happened. Because आपके अंदर की सारी बात गुस्से में बाहर आती है. Things that are not meant to be said, they're said.
And people think they take things out of context, and then it's no longer about you two. It's about them, their egos, and I mean 100%. Not to offend anyone, but then the defensive parent comes in and they're like, हमारी बेटी, हमारा बेटा.
अच्छा मेरी फैमिली थोड़ी ऑपोजिट है. They were like नहीं हमारी बेटी खराब है.
Exactly, because I feel like with girls that's a lot more common to take लड़के की side because
and also it was hurtful. Of course my dad has been very opposite and he never said. मेरे dad ने मुझे बिठाया, एक दफा हमारी लड़ाई थी, मेरे dad ने मुझे बिठाया. He's like रो लो, 5 मिनट है, 5 मिनट बाद डिसीजन करो, रहना है रहो, नहीं रहना मैं जाके तुम्हारे साथ खड़ा हूँ. लेकिन महीने बाद रोती भी मेरे पास आना that you want to go back
because he knew that you really cared about that person.
And then I was like, okay, now that's too intense. I really want to talk.
I mean, you needed that reality check too.
Yeah, but my mom was like, नहीं अब तो तुम्हारा जनाजा ही उठेगा उस घर से. You know how everybody and वो एक लड़कियों से
that's ingrained in you के जनाजा ही उठना यहाँ से.
Yeah, so it's been tough. Like, and how you realize your lessons, you have to learn them. That's how you're destined to learn your lessons, and you do. And that is when I learned कि नहीं यार family, हंसी मजाक, birthdays पे इकट्ठे होना.
Because you don't want to involve them, and it's hard on them too.
It is.
It's very easy for partners to come back after a fight.
On, but not your
you
parents.
can move on the next day, but then the tension between the families, and it's so awkward.
Yes. And also one thing I'd like to add to that is कि जब आपकी फैमिली का coming from a daughter's perspective, जो दामाद और सास का रिश्ता होता है और जो सास और बहू का रिश्ता होता है, सास बहू में तो चलता है, लेकिन जो दामाद और उसका रिश्ता होता है ना, they respect the दामाद more than a बहू is respected in the family. It is what it is, but ये होता है, ठीक है. लेकिन फिर बात पता है मैंने अपने उसमें क्या realize की थी कि जब आप it's all perfect, it's all good, बहुत अच्छा है जी दामाद माशाल्लाह, everything's really good, but when things come out और ऐसे arguments में बातें पता चलती हैं तो वो naturally एक चीज़ हो जाती है कि ओह हमें तो लग रहा था कि ये तो ऐसा है but अब तो ये ऐसा है. And then not that my mom, again we had very strict rules के पीछे से किसी के बारे में बात नहीं करनी.
It's very natural, especially when the person you love the most, आपका बच्चा या आपकी बेटी, and you trusted a whole family with your daughter, and then you hear, not that you would say anything, but they would hear, oh I thought this was true but now I'm hearing this.
Yes.
It's hard on them too.
और फिर वो हर चीज़ like you could move on and be perfect and be very happy, लेकिन they would always associate it to what happened, and they're like अब अक्सर बाबा कभी होता था तो बाबा मेरे से बाद में पूछते कि सब ठीक है ना, तुम खुश हो ना, तो एक
फिर वो फिक्र रह जाती है.
हाँ वो पता चलता है कि यार हाँ मैं तो बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ, but he's still feeding on to that. तो I think it's really important for girls to just अपने घर की बात अपने तक रखो.
How do you come back from it as partners after things get out of hand, people found out, you're ready to forgive each other, but then you're like, well, people are not ready to let go of what happened.
Also for people, pehle to I have been very straight and I've been very like, again not being, there are some rishte jo is pe aap nahi, we have to stay respectful, lekin kuch rishte hote hain jis pe you're like, you know what, shut up, no, this is it, you're not allowed to talk in my family. And also I think at the end of the day बहुत शायद लोगों के बात बुरी लगे, but your parents, your siblings, your husband's parents and your husband's siblings, they are what matter. You cannot differentiate between कि अगर मैं अपनी बहन के लिए कुछ कर रही हूँ, I don't want my husband to do it for his sister. That is just awfully wrong. You're being
the double standards.
Yes, no, that's not acceptable. So if something you're okay to allow yourself to do whatever for your family, but then be okay for him to do whatever for his family if he's willing to.
And it goes both ways.
It does go both ways.
Also, you shared that बेटी के लिए ज़रूरी है कि वो अपने दिल की बात दिल में रखे, or share with your partner, because you should have that relationship that this is my person and I can go up to him. And I feel like it goes both ways. And a lot of the times husbands are more close to their family. Sometimes, हमारे पाकिस्तानी culture में बहुएं रह भी रही होती हैं अपने in-laws के साथ, and बात निकलना बहुत easy होता है. And that's where the husband needs to be like, I can't let my parents find out about this, and some things just need to be personal.
Also, I think इसमें it should be 50-50. It starts when लड़की अपना आउटलेट अपने हस्बैंड को नहीं बनाती है और लड़की अपना आउटलेट अपने पेरेंट्स को बनाती है, अपनी बहनों को बनाती है. So if you're going to your husband's to the office and you're going to call your mom and like talk about what he did wrong, आपने तो वो
vent out
कर लिया.
Solution though.
But आपने तो वो vent out कर लिया. So there's no point of you to bring that to your husband because आपके अंदर जो aggression थी वो तो आपने अपने parents से निकाल लिया. Now you're like अच्छा चलो अल्लाह पूछेगा, like होता है सब.
Maybe you're like it's not even that deep.
Right. And then later you just don't want to communicate that with your husband because now you're already talked to your mom and you're cooled off by all the aggression you had in you. तो वो एक कभी होती नहीं communication आपके और आपके husband की. With me and my husband, it has always been कि जितनी मर्जी बुरी बात हो, जितनी मर्जी pinching बात हो, we have said some damn awful things to each other. लेकिन as long as we're saying it to each other, we know we're protected and we know that.
Do you take it well, or do you guys get like? Is there one person who gets triggered?
I don't think we get triggered. We used to. शुरू में when we didn't
and
understand.
I think मेरा ज़्यादा trigger. Comes with
हाँ, मेरी बातें ज़्यादा trigger करती थी क्योंकि I was the more blunt one because I was like नहीं ये सही नहीं हो रहा, ये ऐसे नहीं होगा, this is not acceptable, ये मेरा घर है, if we need to work, it's a no. Again, we need to work. It cannot always be what I want. It cannot always be कि नहीं ठीक है बस जो नहीं है. And then also लड़कों की साइड से ये होना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि अनीब के friends used to make fun of him. अनीब की बहुत सी family used to be like, even मेरी family, कि अनीब ने नेहा की तो हर बात माननी है. अनीब तो नेहा के साथ बिल्कुल ठीक है. अनीब तो किसी की नहीं सुनता नेहा के अलावा.
And it gets to some guys कि नहीं ऐसी तो बात नहीं है.
हाँ, तो you have to be okay. And then he was like, तो
yeah, so
सारे
that's
करते
my
हैं,
partner,
सारे,
that's my wife.
And my husband has the best answer to it. It's like सारे तो अपने कमरे में तो हर कोई करता है, बंद दरवाजों के पीछे सबके सामने कोई नहीं करता है. If I'm doing it in front of everyone, be it. Like at the end of the day, your relationship should be strong. And coming back to what you said, कि वापस कैसे आता है? I think communication. Words are so powerful. You do not even if you keep them inside you, it's a form of aggression. Once you let it out, they are so impactful.
And patience. You have to realize that the person you're going to spend your whole life with is going to disappoint you at one point, if not more. And you have to be ready because when we get married, we have this perfect picture of a partner and sunshine and rainbows. Yeah. And when you live with them, you're like, well, this person, you have to be okay with the fact that they're always changing.
Yes.
We're growing, and that's a good thing because if they were to just stay where they were when they were with you, day one.
Also, I think हम पाकिस्तान खैर हम यहाँ हैं तो थोड़ा we have that liberty of like हम जी थोड़ा पाकिस्तान में it's not that okay because जब रोज आप यहाँ पर तो आप फोन करते हैं किसी दूर के रिश्तेदार को, अगर बात हो जाएगी 4 बातें सुना देंगे, साल बाद फिर आपने एक ही दफा फोन करना है. But if you're in Pakistan and you're meeting back and forth and every day, so it gets to you. साल में एक दफा एक चीज सुनना है, रोज एक चीज सुनना है, it does get to you. So considering that in mind, I think it's really important कि again your relationship should be very important. And I'm going to be very honest. Men are men. Men will. आप expectations किसी से नहीं रख सकते हो. आप also I feel really sad and my heart goes out to all the girls जो दिन से लेकर रात तक लोगों को please करने में लग जाती हैं. वो सास हो, वो बहू हो, वो नंदे हो, वो आपके husbands के दोस्त हो, आप whatever it is.
And they're still not happy at the end of the day. So I was going to, you helped me get to my next question. I feel like being able to it's easier to cope with things and even disappointments from some of the closest people in your life if you don't revolve your whole world around that person, and you're your own person, so you have your own challenges, your own struggles, and your own dreams. And you're able to shift your focus from that person to your own identity, and that's when you're like, okay, well, I have a balance going on.
Yes, I think it's really important. Also, again, I think communication can get you wherever you want to be in a relationship. When I tell you, I do not have the time in my day to even think about कि घर पे laundry करनी है, घर साफ रखना है, घर पे खाना बनाना है.
How do you manage it then?
It's just communication. It's like we don't have to. It's not like कि अगर मैं घर पे की काम नहीं करी तो मेरे husband करे. No, it's not like that. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
अगर मेरा घर एक हफ्ते के लिए गंदा है तो it's okay. Like we're okay with it, and it's communication. Like there are times when I am. If I talk you through my schedule, it's crazy. मैं 9 to 5 काम करती हूँ, and then 5 o'clock I'm like, I need a break, and then my husband's like, अब मेरा काम around 6 तक चलता है, and then at 7 I'm like, we need a break and we need to go. At 7 we leave. घर का कोई काम नहीं, घर सुबह से बेड भी नहीं बना अभी तक, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go. We both get dressed and we leave. We would go out eat. We would go out.
But it's
shopping.
not expected out of you to do everything on top of everything that you're doing to
and
come home and then
Yes, that is because of communication. If my husband was hard on me and be like, नहीं 5 बजे जब मैं फारग हूँगा तो I need home cooked meals, it's a problem. Then I need to that is when I need to put either myself first, and also एक चीज जो लोगों को realize करने की ज़रूरत है कि you are all you have. जो आप अपने बारे में हर वक्त सोच रहे होते हो, not even your own mom is gonna think about you like that. और ये हुआ है, ये मेरे experience में ऐसे हुआ where I am so concerned about it, and I would talk to someone and they're like, oh हाँ सच मैं भूल गई, and just that word, it just makes such a huge impact, and I'm like, oh, so I am all I have. Like I am the one who needs to go through everything.
Yeah.
Support होनी बहुत अच्छी है. Support and everything is all for all the things you need to hear in
life. But
life.
You're the one who can get yourself out of the worst situations in life.
Yes, and you have to take care of yourself for that. So, like I said, we would leave, we wouldn't, and then हम फिर virtual काम करते हैं. मैं थोड़ा content create करती हूँ, अनीब का थोड़ा business development होती है. We usually just go sit at a cafe that is open or a hookah lounge or anywhere. We go there at 10, and then we're working till 2 o'clock in the morning. और हम ये काम कर रहे हैं साथ नहीं.
You guys are understanding.
Yes, we again because of communication. शायद शुरू में ये होता था कि मेरे में guilt होता था कि नहीं यार मुझे ये भी करना है, मुझे ये भी करना है. I would cook meals, I would exhaust myself, but I wasn't happy. और उसके बाद भी I wasn't considered the perfect wife. No one's ever going to be perfect.
You can never be perfect. So it's so hard, especially living here. Because if you were in Pakistan or even here, and if you just had one thing to do, I feel like it's much easier to be successful at that, just to be a housewife and just to be like, a professional working woman. But people who try to do everything at once, they also fail at everything.
Yes.
So just knowing the right balance, it's so hard, and you have to have a person who trusts in you.
Yes, and also I'll put it in this way. So if you're home and you're taking care of your family, which I respect women who do that, because you're not getting paid, you're not getting appreciated, and it's 10 times the work you have to put in than a 9 to 5. So I massive respect to people. लेकिन when it comes to eventually पाकिस्तान में हर चीज़ लोग क्या कहेंगे पे आ जाता है. तो here's 2 things. One thing you need to know कि लोग तो कुछ ना कुछ कहेंगे. Number 1, if you're taking care of the house, हाय बेचारी अपनी कोई जिंदगी नहीं है, और अगर आप बाहर के काम कर रहे हो बहुत headstrong है, अपनी ये तो फैमिली नहीं करेगी, ये तो अपने
ख्याल नहीं रखती,
हाँ ये तो अपने घर का ख्याल नहीं रखती. So you choose what
you have to pick your battles.
Yeah, you just have to choose what you're okay. You can have people feel pity for you and like, oh उसकी तो कोई जिंदगी नहीं है, or you set the tone where I got it, and oh वो तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा I don't know the right word to put it, लेकिन उसको तो अकल ही नहीं है घर चलाने की. I'm okay with the second one. I'm like, you can tell me whatever, as long as I'm doing my thing.
I have my own thing going on.
Yeah, so. And my husband's on board. Why do I need anything else? Yeah,
definitely. You don't need anyone else to be in your favor then. I want to ask you, how did makeup come in picture after you got married and moved here?
Yes, so makeup, like I said, 16th birthday, I was really into makeup. I think I moved here 2018, 5 years ago. And I just thanks to my dad, I had certifications in makeup, and I was like, naturally I would just fall into makeup. I just went, and it was super part-time at that time. I didn't want to, again, I was figuring out everything. I didn't know if I wanted to be a housewife. I didn't know if I wanted to work.
Did you have that option to pick whatever you wanted to pick?
Yes, he was very supportive. He's like, do whatever you want to. Like, I do not expect you to sit home and cook meals. And even back then, he had a business in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was always with him. So it's not like I was ever in the house taking care of the house. And I think he also just didn't want a typical stay at home, कि मैं घर आऊँ तो मुझे खाना गरम मिले type husband. He's never been like that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go try for a job, and I just want to do something makeup. One thing he was really supportive of, कि you don't have to. I know a lot of people who struggle. यहाँ पर आके Walmart पे काम, CVS पे काम, gas stations पे काम. Everybody does it, and that's just how the circle is set for us.
And if you don't have anyone who can guide you,
that is
ज़रूरी नहीं है कि gas station से ही काम करना है. That's it makes it easier for you to be a little bit ahead of someone who may have came here with no one.
Yep, for sure. So फिर I went to Mac. एक मुझे याद है, I just had a random interview and I was like, I'm a makeup artist, because मैं पाकिस्तान में freelance और कभी salons पे.
Was that your first reality check? Oh, the makeup is completely different here.
Well, it was easier on me because she said, you have to do eyebrows, winged eyeliner, and a red lip, and that is how we're going to test if you're qualified as a makeup artist, because then there's a sales associate and makeup artist. They're two different jobs. And I'm like, well, if you're not good at makeup, we're going to have to push you down to sales associate. But I was like, I got this. And she gave me 10 minutes for an eyeliner. I did it in 2 minutes, and she's like, oh, she's good. Do a red lip now. Red lipstick is, when you go for a Mac interview, red lip is like the last thing they want to check on you. Like, that is how they know how expert you are, because it's the most trickiest thing. And they're like, okay, well, because you did that, do you know how to do? Red lipstick smears. You have to pick the right tone of red for your skin tone, and also you have to pick red. I don't know if you know this, but red has the minimum amount of wavelength, so it's very high and it catches eyes. So you have to just it cannot, like, I would not ever put on a very dark vampy maroon on you, and I wouldn't put on something that is really bright red on you. I have to find something that's going to complement you. So they were like, okay, do you know? And they were just, so it's not just putting on lipstick, it's a lot of chemistry that goes behind it.
So you took certifications in Pakistan?
I did take certifications in Pakistan, and then I started working at
Mac. And did they teach you all of this?
Yes. When I went to Karachi for a makeup, of course, it was 2 weeks. I had to stay at my dad's friends. That was the first time I was ever out of the house, living at someone else's. The first day was, we had a white face, like white paint on the face. We were not allowed to use any color. And we had to create dimensions with a gray color, just to show what light does to your face. So, yeah, and it was not, again, it was makeup academy. It was not where you would just learn makeup, do eyeliner, put glitter, from eyeshadow. Yeah, it was the chemistry and how light affects. Yes. And then I got my job. Like, the next day I got a call. I'm like, okay, well, you're working as a makeup artist for us. And I was like, okay, excited. Started doing that, and then IT came in place because my husband got a job in IT, and he's like, well, Nayha, I think this is something, and I've always been into learning coding. And my dad wanted me to be, like, you know, he didn't want me to be 100% makeup. He's like, okay, come back to reality too. फिर हमने jobs ढूंढी, and he was like, okay, मैं ये Salesforce कर रहा हूँ. You need to get a certification, admin, and I started doing that. And then reference say I was doing freelance, I was doing contract. So IT was always back and forth. And then I was working for a different IT firm thank God, Corona happened not very long after. And everything was remote, and then makeup ruk gaya tha, and I was like, I wasn't going to Mac for 6 months, and I was like, okay, and then I was like, okay, full-time IT pe, full-time IT pe kaam karte hain now. And I think this was back in 2020, and uske baad se phir IT, और अब this has been the most exhausting, क्योंकि अब मेरा मेकअप का काम भी चल रहा है और अब मेरे IT का भी काम चल रहा है. I'm the only one in my IT department. So the entire department falls like that's me.
And makeup too, it's a one-man show, right?
Yes, so everything falls on me. अब मुझे कभी I have to be like आज lunch break में इसको squeeze in करेंगे, इसको lunch break.
And you also have a makeup brand of your own.
Yes, I just started it. It's called Salvaged. Well, that too. I just started. I'm so new to it. Also, again.
Tell us about the brand.
So I had this idea when I was working as a makeup artist. जब मैं makeup करती थी ना, तो by the end of lashes is generally the last step of your makeup that pulls everything together. तो जब मैं पूरा foundation, eyeshadow, concealer, lipstick, everything, and then you do lashes, तो people have sensitive eyes, and people who are getting their makeup done, you need to know that they're not used to someone touching their face all the time, and it's very triggering. You have tears in your eyes, aankhein watery ho jati hain, and as soon as I would put lashes to check the size and whatever, they would start tearing up. It would smear their eyeliner, it would smear the mascara, the concealer. I had to fix, and that's a whole 30 minutes of added, trouble that I have to go through now. A situation where I used to tell people, okay, we're going to salvage this situation. Like, I'll salvage this. Aapka concealer kharab ho gaya, I'll salvage it.
And that's where the name came
That
from.
is how I named my eyelashes Salvaged. And the result of that was always safer option hai logon aksar. And we have beauty standards के बड़ी आंखें हैं, almond eyes हैं. No, it's not that. लोगों की आंखें छोटी होती हैं, किसी के eyelashes नहीं होती हैं. Yes, and what worked all the time was splitting the eyelashes in half and using them as just a little bit more volume lift, lengthening on the corners of the eye, and blend it with mascara. And that is how I designed Salvage, and it's a semi lash concept where it's split in half. You just have to put it on the outer corners of your eye, and you still get that effect without irritating your eyes.
That's amazing. So how are you balancing everything at once? You're working in IT, you have your own brand, you're working as a makeup artist, you're also a wife.
Yeah, so
how do you do it all?
I've had a really...
And you, mashallah, you look so good for someone who's doing everything.
Thank you. I think it's definitely communication with your partner, because jo bhi kaho, they're always on board. They're a part of your life. And communication. There are times where I'm like, okay, this is not happening. This is you and me time. But then also not have expectations. I don't want him to expect ke aaj ya next weekend is our time. Filhal nahi ho sakta hai. And we're doing this for ourselves. Or honestly, I think कि हमारी generations, even though I come from a family जिसको कभी money or financial issues were never, and mashallah, he comes from a family जो financial issues were never an issue for us. लेकिन over here, starting zero, we have an option of going back home and getting everything spoon-fed, and we can have हमारे driver, maids, cooks, not even have to lift a finger to even get a glass of water. But I think as immigrants, and first time when you have to establish for generations to come
after you,
so it has to be, you have to do the hard work, and you just have to, again, मैं हमेशा हर किसी को ये कहती हूँ कि कहाँ लिखा है that you have to have a house when you're 30, have 2 kids, have a wife, get married. Who is making rules for you? Why are you
and why are the rules not changing?
Yes, like
they've been the same for as long as we've been alive.
That is so true. Like, I think your decisions, your life, you can do whatever and however you want to. ये लोगों को चीज़ बहुत trigger करती है मेरी कि ओ इसको तो एहसास नहीं है, रिश्तों का एहसास नहीं है. But it's not like that. It's like I do this so that I am there for who I am, and also it makes you feel good about yourself. And it's not like मैं काम नहीं करती, मैं काम करती हूँ तो my husband ends up working. जब I have 4 hours 10 to 2 at night where I am concentrating and focusing on myself. वो कितनी देर TikToks देख लेंगे या games खेल लेंगे. If one day he's going to be like, you know what, this is productive time. I have to step up, and he does that. He takes care of his business in those hours. I take care of my business in those hours. So eventually, when there's communication and there's a circle, I think you do eventually get on sync. Also, it's easier. I totally agree. मेरे लिए ये कहना बहुत आसान है because I have a partner who's on board with anything. I was
just thinking that because both partners have to be mature enough.
Yes.
Because you also shared that back when you were 18, you were also the type who would ask a lot of questions, and now you have grown a lot to be a woman who now has her own thing going
Yes.
on, and she doesn't want to be bothered, but
Yes.
she also realizes the responsibilities she
Yes.
has.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge
Yeah,
change.
and I think it is, and it
And
happens.
you have to have a supportive partner,
Yes.
because people can be like, well, you changed, you're not the person I married, or who, like, what do you think you are now?
And also, I think हमारी ना family में, once you're not scared of the word, I don't want to say I'm saying this because Allah maaf kare, if something's not right between us. It's more like when you stop, the word divorce is not a taboo anymore, and every normal conversation is like, okay, I'm gonna have a divorce, and it's not कि जी ये नहीं होगा तो बस रिश्ता खत्म हो जाएगा, and when we're not scared of it, we are willing to work around it.
But it takes maturity.
It does, and it takes
if you
understanding.
bring it up as a threat every time to a
Yes.
woman, if you don't do this, well, then that person stops becoming afraid of that thing. They're
and
like,
then
well,
also, I think
I've heard this so many times, I'm not even bothered by it.
Also, I'm gonna be very honest. I think you have to, in your head, get over the concept of कि जी बस divorce हो जाए तो क्या होगा, हो जाए. Like, if it's not working out for you, it's exhausting you, हो जाए. You have to work on yourself. Now, when you know that you don't really care about the divorce part of it, and you're working on yourself, that is when you're like, okay, मेरा ये काम करने के लिए divorce is not necessary. Like, I have so many friends, they're like, oh, ये हमारा मियाँ होता तो कब का हमें छोड़ के चला गया होता. But शायद मेरा मियाँ भी ऐसे था 5 years ago. शायद he was also like this.
It kind of goes back to you being your own person,
Yes,
and not
and then
being
being
scared.
honest to yourself and true to your relationship. I don't care who you're married to. I don't care. You just have to be. It's not about you. It's not about him. It's about your relationship. Because at the end of the day,
And it
your
reminds
relationship
me
is what
how you
have.
said that at the end of the day, you also said like you're
Yes.
what you have at the end of the day.
So get over what people have considered divorce. Heartbreak is very awful. I would never wish it on anyone. It's very tough, but it makes you stronger. And if you're supposed to learn your lessons, you're supposed to learn your lessons. So एक दफा जब आप वो out the window कर दोगे ना कि हो भी जाएगा तो क्या हुआ? देखो, हमारे पाकिस्तान में कहते हैं जी निभानी है, सब्र करो, निभाओ निभाओ. क्यों निभाओ? बच्ची की जिंदगी गुजरी है यार. Why do you want to do that? I know so many people, and then girls go off the wrong track. कोई कहाँ पे ये extramarital affairs शुरू हो जाते हैं? लड़कियाँ are not happy, and then
they're blamed for it. Oh, तुम ये करती तो you know.
But you need to know that.
Like at the end of the day, even if whatever the partner does, somehow it's the girl's fault.
Yes, that's
like,
so
well,
wrong.
he's having an affair because you weren't there.
Yes. And as controversial as it's gonna sound, I think if men can go out with girls and it's like, oh, wo to aadmi hai, I think girls have the equal right to do that. They can go out.
Both ways.
Yeah, it goes both ways. And if it's looked down upon,
betrayal
100%.
is betrayal.
Yes, and it is very unethical for you to do that. I do not support it, but I don't like the hypocrisy and double standards के जी लड़का करे तो कोई नहीं, बीवी सब्र करे. तो अगर बीवी करेगी ना कल को तो फिर बंदा भी सब्र करे. Hoping
नहीं होता सब्र, फिर नहीं
exactly.
होता.
Then we're not property. We're not anyone's property. And ये पाकिस्तान में बहुत misconception है जी के अब तुम अपनी. And I would 100% always tell women to be so strong and be independent. I don't care. छोटा काम करो, बड़ा काम करो, मियाँ के पैसे save कर लो. Have
something
day
of your
fund for
own,
you,
because
always.
you don't know what future has in store for you.
And one thing that money plays a huge part in your life. If you're not financially strong or stable, even for a month, you will never have the confidence to stand up for yourself. That is why I got into IT. That is why I got into, I'm like, I am alone here. My mom's not going to come until wo pura visa sponsor. My dad's not here. I am alone here. So I have to be strong enough to know कि अगर कल को कुछ होता है तो I can take care of my. मैं बेशक पाकिस्तान क्यों ना चली जाऊँ. और हम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हम जो यहाँ लोग आते हैं, we always have an option of going back to Pakistan. It's a lot cheaper there. So if you have a couple $1,000s,
you can work remote.
You can
go to
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
जाकर live for almost no cost. So worst के लिए always be prepared. Always.
Hope for the best, but prepare yourself for the worst.
You can have an amazing marriage, perfect fairy tale marriage, you don't know when it's going to end. And ending a marriage is normal. Having a divorce is normal. People need to know it's okay. You cannot cling on to one person for the rest of your life. It's okay.
If that person is not willing to commit to you for the rest of your life. If you're not
happy, but in Pakistan, if you go ask people if they're happy in their relationship, no one is. They have kids. We don't want to have kids right now. I don't have any kids.
They project that so much. I've seen older women who, like, again, no hate, because they've been conditioned to believe that's the only way they can live their life, but they think they're the true examples and we should follow their, well, beta, मैं 40 साल खुश नहीं रही, लेकिन शादी तो निभी हुई है. No, I heard this somewhere where this woman said that, yes, you've been married for 30 years, but I don't call it having a successful marriage for 30 years, because if you only had one good year, then you had a successful marriage for 1 year and you were suffering for 29.
Yes,
and they don't understand that. They think as long as you're not divorced, you're successful as a woman.
Yes. And also I think
and to anyone watching, sorry to interrupt you, this is not us promoting to be rebellious and go against the norms. And the whole point is
to respect yourself and to understand
yourself. Respect your partner. Yes. Respect your boundaries.
Also, you know what, to add to that, so that people don't think is because
I know where you're trying to go with it.
But also, I was on the verge of divorce. Like I've mentioned, things were really messy, and I still decided to stick to it because I do believe it should be the last option on the table.
Definitely.
Religiously, Pakistan society, culturally, it should always be the last option on the table, but it should be an option. That is what I'm saying.
It has been, and it's an option for a reason. And when we talk about Islam, ये कहते हैं कि सबसे नापसंदीदा चीज़ों में से एक है, but लेकिन अल्लाह ने वो option दी है. When you see there's no way out, then you know.
And also, even though it's not looked good upon and it's not considered कि जी आप करें, it's not something. I don't know if you know this, like in ye ek sunnat thi ki ji uski, I just didn't find him attractive, and that's not how I imagined how my husband would look. And she was.
Women have a lot of rights in Islam that I feel like culture goes against. It's like counterproductive. It goes against everything that we are supposed to learn from Islam. And we grow up learning from our culture that's not even ours. We know that. And we're like, okay, well, Islam says that, ye karna, but no, what Islam are you following? Because Islam has, if anything, a lot of rights for women that we are not being educated on.
Yeah, and also, everybody picks and chooses.
As they please.
Lekin then again, society to hamare andar bithai ki jati hai na. Like, I'll tell you, I read this really amazing story and it literally opened my eyes, and now I question everything and anything. Okay, so I have a story to tell that I just read. It's a very short story, but it opened my eyes, and I think I just started looking at life differently. So the story is that one day a girl saw her mom cook turkey for Thanksgiving, and the mom cut the neck and the bottom of the legs of the turkey. Now the girl, without thinking much, she's like, why did you cut the neck off? Like, why are you, like, it doesn't make sense. Why are you cutting the neck off the turkey? Like,
what did you do to the turkey?
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know, my mom taught me this way, and my mom used to do that. So she calls her grandma and she's like, why do you cut the...
She said, my mom used to do
and she goes like, my mom told me that. They talked to her and she's like, well, the reason I did it because the oven we had back in the day wouldn't fit the entire turkey. So we just cut the neck and the legs off so it would fit in the oven.
They didn't need to do it anymore, but just because people don't question
and
it.
And because you're just so fed into society and the norms that it's not okay for you to even question.
वही बात आ गई ना कि no, you're not supposed to ask questions and just follow what, but you don't know कि वो लोग क्यों करते थे.
Right, it could be a completely different reason.
And society has evolved. Yes. Yeah, if you take this is a great example that you shared. If you take this into reality that we're living in today, वो चीजें वैसी नहीं रह चुकी हुई.
Exactly, it goes into religion. It spills over into religion. There's so many things growing up, and thankfully हम अब पढ़े लिखे लोग आ रहे हैं and people like to be aware of क्या हो रहा है, तो वो question करते हैं यार. अब my mom, there's so many things my mom told me कि यार हमारे ज़माने में तो हमारी माँ ने हमें ये सिखाया था, but actually Islam doesn't require you to do that. it's very new and you learn, and as long as you're willing to learn, you evolve and you stay a part of the society. नहीं तो फिर आप वही बिल्कुल बंद दिमाग वाले, not thinking out of the box.
I feel like another struggle that like Pakistani Americans go through when they move here, not just the cultural shock, but we have to find Islam from scratch, because the things that we've been taught is nowhere near. Yes, 5 waqt ki namaz padna, roza rakhna, that's Islam. That's like, you know, the basics, and we know this. But a lot of the cultural things, and हमें लगता है बड़े होते हुए कि oh ये चुप रहना और सब्र करना. I watched this episode on YouTube from Naman Ali Khan, and he was saying कि पाकिस्तान में सब्र की definition different होती है कि बस कोई जुल्म कर रहा है तो बस चुप करके सहो, and that's sabr. But no, the sabr that we learned from Quran, it's different.
Yes, it's not कि जी अपने साथ
you can cry, you can throw a fit, you're allowed to have your feelings and they're valid, and you still have sabr because you have tawakkul, you have trust in God that things are going to get better.
Yes, and sabr is not always कि जी आप sabr karo.
You're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to say anything.
And then not also कि जी अगर, because we were talking about marriage, it's not sabr karo जी कि अगर आपके साथ कोई ज़्यादती हो रही है तो sabr करो बैठो. sabr करो का मतलब ये है कि stand for yourself, the consequences जो आए उस पे sabr करो. Be ready for the consequences, be patient with the consequences.
I think I heard this, and I'm sorry if I'm sharing this wrong, but from what I remember, मेरे मामू ने ये story share की थी मेरे साथ कि रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम जा रहे होते हैं हमने किसी कंपेनियन के साथ, और वो आई थिंक नमाज पढ़नी होती है, कुछ होता है, तो वो अपना ऊँट वहीं पे छोड़ के जा रहे होते हैं. देयर लाइक, एंड रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सेड कि ये ऊँट को बांध दो, एंड ही इज लाइक नो आई ट्रस्ट अल्लाह, एंड ही इज लाइक नो यू हैव टू उसको पहले बांधो, फिर अल्लाह पे ट्रस्ट करो, एंड देन यू आर गोना बी फाइन. यू कैन जस्ट ब्लाइंडली कि बस सब्र कर रहे हैं and ऊपर से कुछ आएगा कि miracle हो जाएगा and people are going to change.
I would say कि if that is how a world would work, तो हम इंसान ना होते. हमें अकल ना होती, हमें देखो, it's a test. We all know life's a test, and we all know that where we have to end, inshallah, hereafter. लेकिन we very much can make our decisions. मैं हमेशा ये कहती हूँ कि what if, let's say एक बंदा एक toxic relationship में physical abuse, mental abuse, सब कुछ किया, अल्लाह के नाम पे सब्र तो कर लिया आपने. What if आखिरत के दिन आपको पता चले कि
What if Allah is like मैंने तो नहीं कहा था, और कहते हैं जुल्म करने वाले से ज़्यादा जुल्म सहने वाला गुनाहगार होता है. अपने साथ जुल्म, you have to stand up for yourself. Because that's self harm, and that's not something you're supposed to do.
तो मैं हमेशा ये कहती हूँ कि what if आखिरत में आपको जाके पता चले कि जिसको आप सब्र कह रही थी, that's not acceptable.
वो कल्चर था, वो इस्लाम नहीं था.
That's true.
I want to ask you, what's your take on feminism, and especially feminism in Pakistan?
Coming from like how we're talking right now, it would be sound like हम बहुत feminist, we're being very feminist, but I think feminism is more, पहले तो feminism जो पाकिस्तान में, that's जहालत, that's not feminism, that's just a bunch of privileged people actually taking the liberty to say what they want to say. I don't think that is feminism.
Do you think it's helping women who actually are being oppressed in Pakistan in any way?
No, I think we're so inconsiderate where we do not even want to be in their foot and
it's
not
going
live
in a
their
different
journey.
direction.
Yeah, where we just want कि जी अगर कोई बंदी के साथ ज्यादती हो रही है तो उसकी बस वो छोड़ दे अपना खानदान और डाइवोर्स ले और करे. That is what we want to do, and that is what we're promoting कि जी अपने मियाँ को कि जी अगर आपका मियाँ आके अगर आपका मियाँ आके कहता है वो I saw something से अपने जूते खुद उठाओ, अपने जूते खुद संभालो,
और मैं ऐसे ही बैठूंगी, and I don't even want to use those words.
We don't understand that we're so inconsiderate with that, because जब आप ये कहते हो and let's say एक बंदा भी influence हो गया, you don't know the family dynamics she's in.
And I feel like and I do support feminism, but parts of it I feel like as a woman, feminism in Pakistan can improve in a lot of ways because it's needed so much in Pakistan. But we're focusing on the wrong issues. Yes, a lot of people are gonna say yes, you don't get the bigger message. पता नहीं, oh अपना खाना खुद taste कर लो, या microwave खुद गर्म कर लो. But what I'm trying to say is, someone who's beating his wife up in a gown is not going to care at all about the banner that you have up. In fact, if anything, he is going to use that against the woman in his house.
God forbid if his wife did have build the courage to say कि नहीं जी आज अपना खाना आप खुद गरम करें, and he beats the shit out of her.
Who's responsible?
Who's responsible? That? That's not the tone you set.
And
I think
that woman cannot, progress in her life by just standing up. She has no option.
No. I think feminism is not about. Again, I will start where the problem is, the foundation of it. It's not about you telling your rights. It's about you telling women to evolve themselves. It shouldn't be कि जी तुम्हारा ये हक है तो अपने हक के लिए खड़ी हो जाओ, सब्र नहीं करो, घर बर्बाद कर दो.
And it's not even about equality. It's about understanding that we're equally different and we're equally responsible to make this society a better place to live in.
Yes, and what works for you wouldn't work for me, but eventually
it's not one size fits all.
No, eventually the end goal is कि feminism, I think the only definition, और हर किसी की अपनी interpretation होती है about words and definitions, I think to me is कि अगर आप किसी औरत को बात कर रहे हो और आप उसको ये realize करा दो ना कि आपका husband, पहले तो starting your husband, it might piss people off, आपका husband, आपकी family आपके दुश्मन नहीं होते हैं. You don't have to be defensive with them all the time. I think that is where feminism starts. I think that is where it starts, where you have to accept who you are, the role you play, because you are playing such an important role.
And men don't have to be feminine because we need masculinity.
Yes.
Because that's how the world has been. We need femininity and we need masculinity for the world to move forward. It can't be कि हाँ पर इतने सालों के लिए मर्दों ने दुनिया चलाई थी, अब औरतें चलाएंगी.
But also feminism ये भी है कि जी हम अगर let's say अगर लड़की को काम करना पड़ गया तो जी हो हम अब तो मेरा मियाँ बिल्कुल कुछ नहीं करता, मैं I'm the breadwinner of the house और मैं सारे काम करती हूँ, and now that's not feminism. Feminism, I think, is you need to be okay with the concept. You might never have to do it, but you have to be okay with the concept. If need be, you are willing to support your family, you're willing to support your husband. You have to be a strong woman at the end of the day. That is what feminism is. And strong woman का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि जी आज जाके सास की बात बुरी लगी तो जाके मुंह पे बात कर लो मैं स्ट्रांग हो गई, या मियाँ को कहो कि अपना खाना गरम करो मैं स्ट्रांग. नो, वो बेवकूफी है.
Having grace is being strong.
Yes, being strong.
Knowing कि मैं ये बात सुन सकती हूँ, but I'm not gonna lash out on this person because I'm better than this.
And if I totally understand कि कुछ लड़कियों को नहीं इजाजत होती, very strict, और हम पाकिस्तान में कितनी population पढ़ी लिखी है, not everybody has the liberty to जी आज मैं बाहर जाकर ये करूँगी, आज मैं अपने लिए काम कर लूँगी, आज मैं वो कर लूँगी, लेकिन you do not realize that eventually women, be it higher, पता है पाकिस्तान में ना status divide हुए हैं. So the wealthiest families are doing exactly what the lowest income families are doing. औरतें वहाँ भी काम करती हैं, औरतें lower तबके के भी काम करती हैं. मिडिल जो आपके
मिडिल क्लास जो
मिडिल क्लास है, they have it balanced कि जी माँ घर पे बैठे, बाप घर चलाए, अच्छी है, you know what your house is going to look like, you know what your budget is. That is a very less proportion of Pakistan. Eventually जब मियाँ किसी का बीमार हो जाए, कोई नशे करने लग जाए, कोई कुछ करने लग जाए, eventually लड़कियाँ निकलती हैं.
Strong enough क्योंकि अगर and not just husband, जब अगर अकेली बेटी है, like you said, you were the only daughter, you kind of have to step up and show up for your father.
Yes, 100%. And also I think, again, coming back to feminism, women are so strong and we do not realize we physically have the ability to create something. We mentally can nourish. We literally drive. हमारी शादी होती है तो हम drive करते हैं कि अगले बंदे का future क्या होगा. If you get a really not supportive and nagging and wife, you can drive the other person crazy. You have the ability to do that. Women are so strong. We do not. And I think feminism shouldn't be अपने rights. Feminism should be more understanding how strong you are and educate yourself to how to use a superpower you have, because it's literally a superpower. You can literally give birth. You can. There's just so much we're doing. There's so many roles.
So much that your body goes through, and then you go through as life goes by. I don't want anyone to think, and people can still think, that we're speaking from a place of privilege. Again, like the way we're saying that feminists in Pakistan are doing everything that they're doing because they're privileged and it's not benefiting people who may actually, females who are actually oppressed. But they could also say the same, that हम तो निकले हो ना सड़कों पे, आप क्या कर रहे हो, आप उधर अमेरिका में बैठ के, you're just chatting
but
about
also,
the issues.
Right, but also it's not, we're not just doing that. If आप सड़कों पे निकल के क्या कर रहे हो? आप किसी का घर तो नहीं बचा रहे सड़कों पे निकल के. If anything, maybe if you're influencing someone, आप किसी का घर शायद खराब ही कर लो. You never know what their consequences are. What आपकी बात का consequence उनकी life में क्या होगा. So I think feminism, again, women should support each other. I think कि हम rights की तो बात कर लेते हैं अपने point of view से, but we're never ready to support, genuinely support other women.
That leads me to another question that I wanted to ask you. Do you believe in that phrase जो पाकिस्तान में बहुत बोला जाता है कि औरत ही औरत की दुश्मन होती है?
I totally agree. होती है, and I'll tell you why. Because women are by nature very competitive. हम हर चीज को अब comparison में लेते हैं. वो हम शादी से, it doesn't have to be job या
even
roles
best
and
friends.
positions.
You can be best friends with someone. You have the same goals and same dreams and same path they're following, and you could hate each other.
Yes,
I've seen
100%.
that. सास बहू can hate each other.
Yes,
siblings can hate each other.
और होता है ऐसे, एक बंदा अगर दो औरतों में कोई succeed करेगा, दूसरी वाली will automatically feel कि नहीं यार, oh, I should have been. तो and also I think that we're, क्योंकि औरत ही औरत की दुश्मन होती है, and we're just so competitive, is the reason men take over the world. अगर हम more supportive
we're
of each
so
other,
distracted by the little issues कि हाँ तुमने ये क्यों कर दिया, वो क्यों कर दिया, and they're like, okay, we're gonna,
like where would you see, and I come from, okay, I have to share this with you. I come from a background of makeup, and I meet different people and I contract with different salons and stuff. It pisses me off when I see every good high-end salon is owned by a male here. Every client they have, 99% women. Women do not want to support women. That is why men take over. ये सारे the best chefs in the world. Technically तो औरतों का काम है ना जी, बताया गया कि औरतों का best chefs male क्यों? Because when they do something that they're not meant to, they're automatically considered the best.
But
and
if women do something that it goes against the norms, and
then also it was very funny because I was working and I was like, मैं हमेशा सबको कहती हूँ कि I feel very comfortable working with men, like because लड़कियाँ बहुत competitive होती हैं और बहुत, it's not even competitive. I like competition. It gets you to places. Look upon, look down करना किसी को, critique करना, holding you back करना.
I feel like we can go so far if you support each other.
Yes, you can. Also, let me tell you what I was going to tell you. मेरी जॉब हुई ना तो मैंने रियलाइज किया कि I was like, oh, I get along with guys way more better. And लड़की हो जाए तो वो एक automatically एक hesitant हो जाता है बंदा, and you know I think I have to explain more when you're talking to a girl. And then that is, and मेरी एक और coworker ने मुझे बोला कि हाँ I'm very comfortable with guys. लड़कियों के साथ मैं intimidate हो जाती हूँ. I don't want to say कि वो ऐसी होती हैं, लेकिन लड़कियाँ बहुत ज़्यादा होती हैं जिस तरह हमें बोला जाता है कि जी we're very to the point, or you know, hard to say, but we are
complicated too.
Yes,
hard to work with.
I told her, I'm like, now that you say, you know what made me realize, it's because लड़कियां हमारी potential जानती हैं, and they might know कि हम कहाँ पहुँचते हैं, लेकिन लड़के they don't take us as a threat because we're just a woman. इसीलिए हमें वो comfortable और एक space, safe space लगती है कि यार लड़के बहुत comfortable. That is why we get along, because उनके लिए we're never someone who's going to succeed over them. लड़कियों के लिए we can succeed over girls. And then also इधर ना पाकिस्तान में तो इतनी लड़कियां काम नहीं करती हैं, बहुत कम पॉपुलेशन है जो एक्चुअली ऑफिस जॉब्स करती हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पर जब आप आते हो और देखते हो, आई थिंक कि लड़कियां, how do I say it? I'm trying to find the right words of saying it. I have seen guys go happy hour, golfing, they would have clubs, meetups where they promote each other. Somebody has a business, 10 people will inspire from it.
You'll see someone who's friends with, a guy in 7th, 8th grade, you'll see that they'll still be friends 10, 15 years down the road.
No matter what their financial status is, no matter how far they went in life, that is, money is just not that important for them. But also, I don't know, अब मैं यहाँ move हुई थी, I had to literally leave my Mac job, leave everything, my clientele back there, which I had an amazing clientele. Over here when I came, I had to start fresh. Women, I'm not a threat in the market. जो जिसका, मेरा बहुत strong belief है, जो जिसका risk होता है वो उसका risk होता है. Nobody can take that from you. But in this market, if I am trying to meet someone else, trying to know the market better, I reached out to a couple of makeup artists and be like, hey, I'm new in the town. I also do makeup, and maybe we can catch a drink and talk about makeup and how the industry works.
What was the response like?
No.
Oh, wow.
They're like, oh, no, we're busy. We cannot meet. Yeah, there's not a lot of market. And I'm like, well, okay. And then there were men. And then I end up working for every single client that hires me through a salon is a guy.
I wanted to kind of share my own personal experience, and then I would go back and say maybe this is something that needs to change in the, not as a criticism, but maybe something positive in the Pakistani culture, because I work with a makeup company and it's just women. It's run by a woman, the owner is a woman, my manager is a woman, the admin team and the makeup artist, the hairstylist, it's all women. And they refuse to hire a man, and not because they don't see their talents or anything. The vision that the owner of the company has is there is so much work out there for men. And if I can give a chance to a woman who, you know, could be struggling and does not have the same privilege as a man to find good opportunities, then I will be that.
Yes. I agree, and I think Pakistan mein, and thanks to social media, thanks to the technology and the awareness,
I feel like ho raha hai. I also went to Pakistan this time and I saw this, and maybe it's not the same, and I don't know, Pakistani community living here, but when I went to Pakistan last time, I went to a lot of makeup salons, and it was just female workers, and the owner was a female, and you know, it just feels safe when you walk in there for the clients too, because it's mainly females.
I totally agree. Also, I think, I'm trying to think of what I wanted to say. But please, Pakistan mein, now that girls, and I see it, I was the oldest cousin in Pakistan, so the first child in the family, so baki sare mere se chote hain, and I have cousins that are like 10-15 years younger than me, and you don't understand, they're growing up in a total different environment. They have their phones all the time, they have social media, they have access to the internet. They're not raised to be Pakistani, they're not in the society as you would think they are. And also हम पाकिस्तान में ना बहुत easily बोल देते हैं और categorize कर देते हैं. अगर लड़की ने ड्रेस छोटी पहनी हुई है तो ओ ये तो सही लड़की नहीं है, अगर लड़की ने हिजाब बहुत किया हुआ तो ये तो oppressed लड़की है, इसको तो rights भी नहीं मिलते होंगे. इसने बाल एंड मेरी अपनी फैमिली, और ये मैं बात कर रही हूँ, ये हम पढ़े लिखे फैमिली है, शायद पाकिस्तान की टॉप पॉपुलेशन जिन्होंने अच्छे बैचलर्स मास्टर्स किए हुए, ये उन फैमिली वालों की सोच है कि जी शादी से पहले लड़की ने तो हाइलाइट्स कराई हुई है तो लड़की तो ठीक करेक्टर की नहीं. इवन माई मॉम, लाइक आई डोंट वांट टू टॉक, लेकिन मैं अब ओकेजनली आई वेप, राइट, एंड व्हेन आई एम वेपिंग my mom's like, gee, 2 number लड़कियों वाले काम है. And I'm like, how do you categorize women?
I was not allowed to get my nose pierced, because my mom was against it, but she was like, some other auntie's gonna look at you and think ye theek nahi, and I'm like, how does a nose piercing define who I am as a woman?
Yeah, so or ऐसे लोग, again, whoever thinks like that, जिनको आपको आपके actions के लिए extra explanation देनी पड़े, they're doing no good in your life.
They're not worthy of your time.
And they're only draining you, if anything. I am a big believer of respectfully communicate and be like, I have so many family members and I'm gonna get so judged for this. जिनको मैंने straight up message कर दिया था कि हमारा रिश्ता इतनी over frankness वाला नहीं है. हमारा रिश्ता इतना है कि आप बर्थडे पे मुझे विश करें, मैं आपको थैंक यू बोलूँ, आपको मैं बर्थडे पे विश करूँ, आप मुझे थैंक यू. And that is what they are. Also, I don't know if you've actually grown up in Pakistan or not, लेकिन ये जो हमारी फैमिलीज तो चलो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह बेहतर हैं, हमारी पूरी फैमिलीज एक दूसरे की बहुत सपोर्टिव हैं, एंड यू नो वी आर देयर थ्रू थिक एंड थिन. लेकिन ये आपकी जो फैमिलीज होती हैं ना, एक्सटेंडेड फैमिलीज विदाउट पुटिंग एनी लेबल्स ऑन, ये सिर्फ तब अच्छी होती हैं जब आपके कजन्स छोटे हों and you have entertainment, और ईद पे वो शुगल, and that is the purest moments that you look back to. No matter how hard my family circumstances are, I will always look back to the Eid हम लाहौर
जाके. Eid is not the same anymore. यहाँ पे या फिर वहाँ पे भी, क्योंकि वो जो बचपन में मिलना, मेहंदी लगानी, चांद रात, चूड़ियाँ पहननी, it's not the same.
Yeah, so I think, and also you need to understand कि ये सिर्फ उस time का phase होता है. Your extended family is not supposed to be with you for the rest of your life. It becomes toxic, it becomes burden, it holds you back. You need to know when to step back and focus. Or if anything, my getaway from this entire conversation is going to be your parents, your siblings, if you're married, your husband's parents and his siblings. That is all that matters. If you keep it, and mutual respect, mutual understanding, no double standards, that is literally the key to, and communication is the key to having a sane life and not go crazy.
So I hope anyone who's watching this took the right message out of this, and I learned a lot from this conversation, and I understood where you were coming from. I was able to relate to a lot of things, and I had a lot of fun talking to you about makeup because I love makeup. And I kind of want to ask you just one more question, which would be, what advice do you have for anyone who's watching you and wants to follow that path and could be inspired from your story as well? That how can they go about their dreams?
I think the takeaway would be that first of all, the most important thing for you to realize, and not in a bad way, and I don't think you're being selfish or it should come in a way of a negative impact on your personal life. I would never want that. But you do need to realize that you are all you have. I think that is the essence of your
life. The biggest takeaway from today's podcast,
yes, is you are all you have. That you have to heal, you have to love yourself, you have to respect yourself. I do not mean to tell you to leave your husband or leave a toxic marriage or go say things to your mother-in-law. I don't want to say that, and I do not support it. I, in fact, if anything, respect you even more if you are going through, because I know I would have never been able to do what you are doing. So more respect to you, but just do not sacrifice your happiness, your sanity in your life just because of this. So even if you still want to do everything you're doing, keep on doing that, but take time for yourself.
Don't give up on yourself.
Yes, take time for yourself. Set boundaries for yourself.
Because at the end of the day, you could end up losing everything you have. God forbid. Hopefully, no one goes through that, and it's not easy, and we would never wish it upon anyone. But at least you have yourself, and you can build yourself again.
100%.
But I'm gonna regret if I don't ask you this. How important is self-care? Because you have told me you've done, and I know I said that this would be the last question, but you told me you've been able to manage so many things, and it takes a toll on your mental health.
It does.
And it can look like you have it all together, but no one knows what's going behind the scene, what's going on. So I want to ask, like, how do you even have the time, and what is the best practice?
Break the rules. You're told not to cry and not to scream if you want to. If there's a buildup in you, I would be in the middle of a highway, roll down the window and scream on the top of my lungs if I have that aggression in me. We are allowed to, and we should take out our aggression. Do you know there's this new restaurant, I think in Dubai, where you smash plates as breaking the society norms,
and that's a healthy way to do it.
It is. It doesn't have to be. I'm not going to tell you.
I would rather break a plate than yelling at someone.
Yes, and like I said, I'm not going to tell you take a day off, go get your makeup done, get a massage done.
It doesn't help in the long
run. It doesn't. What helps is the mental space you create for yourself. So if something bothers you, write it down on a piece of paper. Communicate. Communication helps you through so much in life. Be it awkward confrontation, awkward communication is always going to have favorable results for you, always. So communicate, break the rules. You're not supposed to just sit in the room and cry and go to sleep while crying.
And then wake up the next day and pretend like nothing happened.
Yeah, you don't have to. Listen to music. Music helps me a lot. So when I'm sad, I'm like, and also when I'm sad, I tell everyone, please do not text me, please don't call me. I need time to heal from what just happened, and I want you to respect. I want you to respect what I'm going through. I didn't used to do that first. Being married, being everything, it's not easy. I wasn't like this. I had to learn it the hard way. But if anybody can just listen to what I'm saying and do that for themselves, it's going to save them so much. Just respectfully communicate and be like, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be an hour. You can take whatever you need, but take time for yourself. Take time. I don't know if you've seen this movie. I just recently saw Eat, Pray, Love, where she is just
I started reading the book and I never finished
and now I'm like, I'm just waiting for my each brave love, and it's okay. Defy the society standards, defy the expectations, and it's okay if people are talking about you, girls. They are anyways, no matter how good you are, no matter how balanced you have your kids, your husband, your in-laws, your job, they're still talking about you. So just don't care about what people say.
Definitely. No, that's a great piece of advice. What should we expect from you in the future?
So I know makeup and salvaged is not going anywhere. And with makeup, I definitely want to, I just started doing virtual lessons. So I really want to grow on that. Also, I want a little bit more presence on Instagram. I am the one, if I put in the effort, I most certainly will be busy on Instagram, but I just have to discipline myself more in a way where I am more focused on Instagram. But then yes, Salvaged is going to come out with a lot of things, and also my beauty line. One thing I need to talk to people, and because I don't like to talk about things before they happen, but I think one thing people should know, that my aim off of Salvaged is not to have sales and make money. I want to, it's literally, and the tagline for my company is beauty for your convenience. So it's definitely going to be something for your convenience, even if it's not making a bank for me, and I don't care if I don't land into Sephora or make it big or whatever. I just want it to be for your convenience. Like, I want to eventually have products that are like on the go, just one palette, and you have everything, so that you don't have to buy 10 different products when you're traveling. Nobody wants to carry 20 palettes with them when they're traveling. So definitely something that's going to be convenient for your everyday life.
This is so funny because I feel like we went a little bit, like, you know, we expanded a lot on your personal life too, and your experiences, that now I'm like, I had so, because I'm talking to you and I'm like, well, I had that question, and I'm like, we're running out of time, but I don't want to miss out on anything. And I did have this question in mind, because your passion revolves around beauty and makeup, and you also talked about skincare.
Yeah.
I feel like what happens inside us also reflects on our skin and the way, you know, we portray ourselves. And I wanted to ask you, how do you think, you know, skincare and diet reflects?
Oh, I think it's, if anything, 50% of how your makeup is going to look. And I'm not talking about makeup that when you're going to come to me and I'm going to do it maybe once every 6 months. That's not, it's your everyday skin. You need to realize that once you have a good balanced skin, and I'm not going to tell you sit here, make green smoothies and take, no, I don't want you to do that. But as long as you're hydrated, you're eating good, you're not eating too much processed sugar, you're not eating as much as oil, fried food, all of that, your skin will, it always has been like this. You are what you eat. And also skincare. We just need to be very mindful, and because we're Pakistani and we know how women would just put anything, they would go to salons and put any cream, any moisturizer, bleach their faces, anything. Just be really careful about that. You can still achieve everything you want, but it has to be from within. And also, do your research, educate yourself on your skincare, because skincare and your diet plays a major role on the makeup application, on how you look. The more healthier you eat, the more naturally you would. I'm very strict on diet. I'm very careful about what I put in my body. So, and it's not like I eat super healthy. I would eat anything, but I'm just careful in moderate amounts of food, to a point where I don't put on foundation. I don't put on a lot of concealer. I don't do a lot of contour. Even today, I don't have a full face of foundation on, because I like to, because if I mask what from makeup, I don't know what actually is going in my body.
And makeup enhances whatever you have on your face.
It shouldn't be, yes.
Because if you have like acne, it's going to enhance the acne.
Yes. Yes. Makeup, I always tell my clients, if you have texture, makeup is not magic. Makeup will not.
It's not going to make it go away.
Also, for that reason, I have free consultation, 15-minute consultations, because people do tend to book like a month in advance. I'm like, just talk to me. Don't have any skincare that would include laser peels, any acids that's going to mess up your skin. Don't shave your face the day before or the day of your makeup. So just all of those things that we don't think are important are actually very important, how you're going to look, especially for my brides. With my brides, I'm very careful. I would give them a trial. I would give them consultations. You can call me whenever. I've had a couple of clients where I go shopping for them for their skincare because you don't know what you need. And they're like, oh, you'd be so amazing if you'd go. And I'm like, yes, I would go out of my way for my brides because it's their big day and they have every right to feel the best person in the world.
I would love to have Nayha again on second season of Scribble Sessions because I want to see where you are the next time you're here, and hopefully you'll be here. And I would love to talk more about beauty tips, skincare tips.
I would love to talk about that.
Booking process, your relationship with your clients, because I feel like there's still a lot more that we can talk about, and we're running out of time, but it's been a pleasure to have you, and I learned so much from you, and thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Of course, thank you. It was lovely talking to you. I could talk the things I never thought I'd say
and you're
out loud.
Passionate about these things, so you've been able to talk about that, and I hope anyone who was watching our podcast enjoyed watching us and took a good message out of this.
And on a positive note.
And ending this on a positive note, and I will see you again on another episode of Scribble Sessions. Allah Hafiz.
Allah.